The Purge Anarchy experience. Check it out when it comes to it down near you.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was fun. So you actually did go through that. You actually experienced it and everything.
Yeah. It was, I mean, I loved it. And I had no idea going in what it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so you walk in, and they give you the little spiel about you have a half hour, and that's really all they tell you. And if something's glued down, don't unglue it, but everything else is fair game.
Leave everything that you pick up.
And then it's like you're in a cage, and there's some woman, and you're like, what is going on?
And there's no lights. It's like
really
crazy.
great.
Yeah. It's really fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm not really into like haunted houses and stuff, but it was a great experience.
But I think it's also cool. I mean, it's pretty genius in that, you know, it doesn't have to do with the plot of the movie or anything like that. It's not like walk through the path that the characters went, but it gives you that feeling of that anxiety of, shit, I'm on Purge night. Like, I need to get out of here.
Right. I think everybody that was with us really kind of got invested in it. Like for those few minutes, it was like they really felt like, okay, yeah, this must be what it feels like to be.
Yeah, and you get kind of frantic.
So, are we rolling? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know,
Sorry.
this is good material.
Good
no, this is good material. No, this will
be
be a good promo so that when it comes through their town, they can check it out and everything.
Awesome.
So, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the first movie, but I remember when I watched the first movie, the whole time I kept thinking to myself, I would rather be out on the streets and see what was going on, like in the streets and stuff. So it was really great to see it, kind of take it out there and, you know, go into those areas and whatnot. When did you first get on board with this project?
A couple months before it started shooting. I'd coincidentally seen the first movie just a couple weeks before that, and I felt the same way when I read the script, that, you know, it was so cool that it was following, as opposed to a person character, the concept of the Purge character, into a different thing for another year and putting it out on the street, which is, I think, what a lot of people expected the first one to kind of be. But I don't know, it's fun because you just, you know, it finds a way to make you feel trapped while you're outside in the open.
Right.
And I actually think the movie speaks pretty well to like inherent human nature, because between me and my wife, and then the mother-daughter and Frank's character, once we band together, even though we're strangers, we're not just like cutthroat. It's like, it's all in, I'm really sorry I keep burping.
That's okay.
It's very embarrassing.
Blame it on the experience.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the experience. I'm getting nervous. But yeah, I mean, we all band together, and then we're all in it together. And, you know, at certain points, we all step up, just potentially sacrifice ourselves for the rest of the group.
The thing I loved about it too is the dynamics of the characters, because, you know, even if you think you have a read on what these characters are about, like for example you and Keely's character, you don't really quite understand who they are until it starts to unfold, and then you realize, oh, there's a lot more than just what's on the surface here. And I think that would make it very interesting for you guys to kind of play it up and not make it so obvious at first.
And that was something we were really conscious of too, you know. I mean, I think it would be very easy in a movie like this, and I think there's a lot of movies where this does happen, where the two guys are fighting to be alpha male. And I think in this situation, it's very obvious who's the alpha male at the onset. And I think the fact that I'm not trying to challenge him actually gains me more of his respect than the other case would have. And it's more interesting. And then you're not sitting there going, oh, well, that's the guy who's going to get shot later, going to screw up and make the, you know, because it's not like I'm the annoying guy who's always nattering him or something like that. And I talked to the director, James, about it when I first read the script, and he agreed with me, and we talked to Frank, and so we all kind of agreed that we just wanted these to seem like real people who were stuck out in this unreal situation, and that would make it feel real and thus much more terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even that scene, like when Frank Grillo has to kind of make the decision of, do I help people or do I just walk away? I mean, I think anybody in that scenario would be conflicted. Like, you want to help somebody, but you know it could be certain death if you jump in. And so every single moment that you're living that night, you know, you could die at any second.
And it's kind of that, you know, it's the whole thing of, that night, and it's like, what am I going to save everyone out here tonight? But for some reason, you know, he's confronted with it. It's not just like strangers out there in the dark. It's someone right in front of them, and can you just let an innocent person just be killed? And I think most people would not like to.
Yeah. It seems like we're seeing kind of a new surge of more inventive, for lack of a better word, more inventive horror movies. Like, I mean, we've seen so many of those horror tropes over and over again through the years, the slasher films and whatnot. And to me, I think the concept of what is almost like psychological horror, to me that seems more it's more relatable, I guess. Like people could see themselves in that scenario.
Yeah, and I like that you put it that way, psychological horror, because I feel like it's such a blanket statement horror that's thrown on everything. And with this movie, it's like, yeah, you can call it a horror movie, you can call it a thriller. If you look online, sometimes it's classified as a sci-fi movie, and I think just because it's in the future, it's sci-fi. You know, so these labels get thrown on it, but yeah, this is kind of a very interesting. I like psychological horror film, you know, and I guess I would put movies like Seven in that category, where it's just like a messed up situation, and it's scary. And what would you do? Like, because you feel like this could happen.
Yeah.
I hope it can't, but who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Now, you spent a lot of years working on Friday Night Lights, and everybody kind of knows you as that character now. When you started doing more movies, how has that experience sort of changed for you in terms of just the work dynamic? Because obviously, when you're shooting a TV show, it's really breakneck speed. There's not a lot of takes, you know. But like doing the movies, does it give you a little more freedom as an actor, you feel?
You know, I actually think you have a little more freedom on a TV show.
Really?
Well,
you
it
get to
depends on
develop the
show.
character more on a
Yeah,
TV show.
you know, and you gain a little more control over it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it always depends on the director, producers, what have you, depending on the project. And on this, James gave us a lot of freedom and was really so collaborative. And he wrote and directed both the films, so he could be very precious with them. But I think the success of it was he said, I wrote this story, I came up with this concept, and I'm going to let you bring a little more to it. And, you know, we usually were on the same page. If I said, you know, it reads a little like this, is it cool if I feel like it would be more interesting that way? He'd say, totally, let's do that. So between TV and film, it's so project specific, but yes, movies do move much slower than TV does. This one we actually shot pretty fast. I mean, we shot it in 5 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing, especially with all the technical aspects that are involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty shocked we got it done that quickly.
Yeah. Did you get any bumps and bruises? Any hurt? Like come away from with some battle scars from this?
No, I didn't. I think everyone else did. And I was like, you're a bunch of baby actors. Like,
Well, but you're used to like being out on the field and like roughhousing with a lot of guys
yeah,
anyway.
and I
so-
guess I'm just also still like a stupid young guy, where it's like, I honestly, so often my wife will be like, what is that? And there's like a huge cut on me. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. So, you know, I'm also the kind of person that like, if I hurt myself running, I just run through it the next 3 miles and deal with it, as opposed to saying, I should probably stop, I injured my foot. So it could be a little of that.
Can you also talk about kind of immersing yourself in like what the experience has been like working on this film and like going to different cities and promoting it and talking to people about it? It's really kind of a different thing than any other sort of, like if you were doing a romantic comedy, it wouldn't be anywhere in the same vein.
Tour.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, you know, different people have different takes on it. A lot of people are all about, you know, who would you kill if there was a purge? And other people are more about the socioeconomic commentary of it. And other people are more, you know, like there's so many different things to talk about with this movie, which it's one of the things I was attracted to in it was it's much smarter than it is on the surface. Much more high concept, and you know, it's making, I think, a clear commentary on the way our government works and where it seems like it's headed.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it's that far or that exaggerated. Like we could potentially live in this kind of society.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're giving a literal version of what's happening, where the government's just, you know, I feel like the government's making it harder and harder for poorer or lower status people to have any sort of livelihood. Because it's harder to get a job or harder whatever, and in this it's just saying the government's making it where it's harder to have a livelihood because we will literally take your life away from you if you can't afford to protect yourself.
Yeah, and this also begs the question of if this was real and we really did have the purge, you know where I'm going, how would you behave? Like let's say you were stuck out on the street and the purge started, what would you do? Like would you go hide in a corner somewhere? Would you try to find some friends? What would be your first course of action?
Yeah, I mean, if I was stuck on the street, hide, find a friend, phone a friend, use a lifeline, 50-50, whatever those options were.
Right.
I'll do anything I can. I don't want to have to fight anyone.
Yeah.
Because I am a lethal weapon, just a walking lethal weapon. I can take anyone out, and that's unfair to them. But yeah, I would just try and find some safety. And it's really, you know, when you think of when we were shooting it, they kind of like touched on the fact that you can't just be like, okay, let's go hide in there.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you go, people are out on the lookout and they're using heat-seeking devices. There's nowhere that's just like, okay, I'll just hide out here for the night.
Yeah.
So it's a scary concept. I would plan ahead and I would leave 2 or 3 days before and go to Canada,
Right.
and then come back a few days after.
Yeah, exactly. What's up next for you after this?
The only specific thing up next is an episode of Drunk History.
Oh, nice.
That was so fun to shoot. The guy, Derek Waters, who created the show, is a good friend of ours, and he asked me to do one, and I was honored to do it, and it was so fun. I mean, everyone on that set is having a good time. They're working hard, and they're enjoying their job, and that's just like, it's so fun working on those kind of sets where everybody's excited to go to work. So, it was only one day, but it was great, and I think it's going to be really funny.
Do you have any aspirations to kind of like maybe go back and do more TV stuff, or is there something specific? Is there something specific you want to do that you haven't?
No, I mean, I'd love to do anything. I'd love to find another TV show that I'm really proud of, the way I was with Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Something that really excites me. You never know, and TV's hard because it could be an amazing script, and then it just doesn't turn out the way the script seemed it was, and then it's 7 years later. So it's always a gamble. A movie, script can seem really cool, and worst case scenario, the movie turns out terrible, but it was 6 weeks of your life, and you can move on, and it's not going to kill your career. So, I just want to find stuff that I'm excited about and proud of once it's done.
Yeah. And last but not least, what do you want to say to that bastard Scott Porter?
I got nothing but love for Scott.
Yeah,
Scott's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I'm giving him a hard time, but I am going to direct him to this and let him know that we're all thinking about him. Zach, thank you so much. It's funny. When I met you several years ago on the set of Friday Night Lights, you were the nicest guy, and it's great to see you. Have movies like this come out and big stuff going on for you. So I look forward to seeing.
That's very kind. Thank you very much.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah.